It's great to have you with us from wherever you're tuning in from. For more information about Elevate Church or to contact us, head to our website elevatechurch.me and take us wherever you go by downloading our Elevate Church AU app. We hope this message inspires and helps you to take your next steps in your journey.
Hey, good morning. Told the team this morning, by the way, it's less than 3 months till Christmas. So if you haven't already written your letters to Santa, clock's ticking, people. Get going. Now, first Sunday of the month, we like to celebrate what God's doing through the digital space from here at Elevate Church. So we have our online experience, which we go live every Sunday morning, Perth time, 10 a.m. And then we take the message also that we preach here on a Sunday live, and we publish that on our podcast platform. So those things are great ways to just take things beyond the four walls of our box here. They're available on YouTube, Facebook, all the podcast apps. Or if you want to make it super simple, if you don't already have our Elevate Church AU app, you can scan the flow code on the seat in front of you. If you've ever been wondering what that's all about, it'll take you to our app. And you can download it, and it's all there for you. Now, unless you're in the front row, then you have to ask a friend. So in this month, we've been contacted by people from many parts of the world. I'm going to butcher the first name. Apologies in advance. Babu Rao, who's leading a church in India. He reached out to us saying that he's connected with us every week and loving what we're doing. Please pray for him. Please pray for us. Brilliant. Sent some photos, videos of what God's doing there in his corner of the world. We also contacted by Kelly, who was a former team member here, who's moved into the country. Outside of the Perth area for work, and just let us know that she's still connected every week with our online experience. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Hello, welcome to 2024, people. So let's welcome everybody that's joining us on our podcast today. Great to have you here wherever in the world you're joining us. Now, here's a question. Is there anything you're afraid of? Public speaking, that makes the list. Better not be at the top of my list or else I'm in trouble. But, it makes the list. Bees come up on the list with some people. I had the conversation last week. Oh, bees, afraid of bees. Your mother-in-law, that comes up occasionally in conversations that I've had. Well, recently I discovered that Louie, my wife, is afraid of birds. Now, when I say recently, I literally mean 9 days ago. And when I say birds, because you like birds, that's a peculiar thing to be afraid of. I don't mean all birds, I mean indoor birds. And I don't just mean indoor birds, I mean birds that have actually flown into our living space and are flapping around while we're sitting on the couch. Very specific type of bird situation that Louis is afraid of. This was all revealed to me and us 9 days ago. It was a lovely, relaxing Friday evening. Started about 5:30, sitting on the couch, looking, what should we watch on the TV? Sea breeze had started to come in. Let's open the sliding doors, let the sea breeze in. Sea breeze starts coming in. That's when you know you're in Perth and weather's warming up and that beautiful sea breeze is coming in. We soon discovered that by opening the sliding doors, it wasn't just the sea breeze that wanted to come in, it was a bird that also wanted to join the fun inside our living space. So out of nowhere, we've got this bird flapping around, it's making noises, it's trying to actually get out, it's trying to get out, but it's trying to go through the windows, because I guess birds don't understand the concept of glass. So it's hitting its beak against the windows, and it's freaking out. Things are escalating. I grab a broom, broom, gently trying to sort of coax it back out the sliding doors. Louie grabs the other implement that was handy, a cobweb broom, and she starts waving that thing around like she's Darth Vader with a lightsaber. And things continue to escalate. At this stage, the bird is pooing down our white walls, hitting the windowsill, pooing. And I'm watching the bird fly there. I'm not looking at the bird. I'm thinking, oh, no. As it just... And anyway. Eventually, the bird made it out. But I discovered fear is a real thing, people. Louie's afraid of indoor birds. And by the way, that episode unlocked a new fear in me. It's a fear of cobweb brooms. I now can't go near cobweb brooms. The thing about fear is fear, and you know this, fear actually can be a positive. I mean, if you're walking down a dark street late at night and some slim shady character sort of, appears in the corner, you'll be like, the fight or flight response kicks in. That's a good thing. Like, okay, I probably need to kind of either beat them up or get out of here. One thing that's often overlooked when we talk about fear and the fight and flight response is there's actually a third response, which we would say is the freeze response. And the freeze response is the one that's actually problematic because the fear response paralyzes us. And in fact, if we start talking not about dark alleyways, but talk about in our lives, if there's things that we start to give into that we freeze, that actually can paralyze us from moving into the things that God's calling us to. In fact, it can actually rob us of the gift of the everyday, the gift of today, because we're so consumed worrying about and being afraid of what might happen tomorrow that we don't get to enjoy the gift of today. So the big idea today is that faith can allow us to take control of our fears before our fears take control of us. So we're launching a new series today called God Can Make a Way. And this is me. Hello. God Can Make a Way. So launching this, and it's going to be either breaking news or, to maybe some of you church veterans, a reminder that we actually serve a God for whom nothing is impossible. Like, there's nothing on his impossible list. Nothing. That even when we can't see a way through, God can make a way through. So, if you've got your smartphone camera, you can scan this guy. This is going to take us to Judges chapter 6. So this is in the old part of the Bible, what's often called the Old Testament. It's a book of Judges. It's kind of a weird time in the nation of Israel's history. I don't have time to unpack that, but we're going to drop in on a guy named Gideon. Now, Gideon was a judge. He was a military leader. And we're going to drop in on Gideon at a time where the nation of Israel had experienced 7 consecutive years of oppression and invasion by an enemy nation called Midian. So them and some of their allies had kind of been in just wreaking havoc in Israel for 7 years, destroying crops, stealing livestock, just absolutely making life intolerable for 7 consecutive years. And we find ourselves with this guy named Gideon, who's a military commander. And when we drop in on him, we discover him laying low. We literally discover him hiding out. You think, oh, well, Gideon's an Israelite leader. 7 years of invasion, surely like enough's enough. Surely we're going to find Gideon leading the army into battle to drive out the Midianite oppressors. And yet when we find Gideon, he's literally hiding out, hoping that the Midianites won't find him. Oof. All right. Not the best thing to have at the top of your resume. Then, while he was hiding out, an angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, now I want you to say these words that are underlined with me. Mighty hero, the Lord is with you. I'm a visual person. I know that Gideon's hiding out. I read this, the Lord appeared to him and said, mighty hero. I'm just wondering if in this exact moment in time, Gideon's starting to look around, wondering who the angel's talking to. Like, he's talking about a mighty hero because he's just assumed, sure ain't him. He's hiding out. Military commander hiding out. Anything but a hero. But here's one of I want to just encourage us right at the beginning. This exact moment in Gideon's life is a reminder that God doesn't see us where we are. He sees us where we can be. He doesn't see just our reality today. He actually looks to our potential tomorrow. He's saying something to Gideon, that's something about Gideon that actually hasn't happened yet. And yet from God's perspective, it's just as true in this very moment as it will ever be if and when it actually materializes. And then God gives him a job, like actually the job that he was kind of paid to do, but he wasn't doing. God actually says to him, hello, Gideon, get up. I want you to gather together an army, and I want you to take that army, and I want you to drive the Midianites and their allies out of Israel. It's been 7 years. That's long enough. They have to go, and I want you to lead the charge. So Gideon actually rallied 32,000 Israel soldiers together and started on that mission. I want you to remember that number, 32,000. They went off, let's get rid of these Midianites. Well, here's another number that I want you to remember. The number is 120,000. So remember the number 32,000. That's the number of Israelites that signed up to be a part of Gideon's army. And then there's this other number, 120,000. That's the number of soldiers in the Midianite army. So I did the math, so you don't have to. It's a ratio of 4-1. Not good odds if you're a bookmaker and you're wanting to bet on Israel. So Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and his army got up early and went as far as the spring of Harod. Let me just insert one thing. We're now skipped over to Judges chapter 7. You can read the rest of that interaction that Gideon had with God in chapter 6. I'd encourage you to do so. Spoiler, God gave him the job. Gideon took a long time to say yes. So we've skipped ahead to this, which is like, yeah, let's go, army. There was some stuff that went down where actually Gideon's like, I'm not so sure. God, give me a sign. God gives him a sign. He's like, yeah, all right, not bad. Actually, I need another sign. God's like, oh, okay. Gives him a sign. That was a good one. Yep. You know what? Just one more sign. So that all happens. You can read for yourself. Now we get to Gideon and his army got up early, went as far as the spring of Harod. The armies of Midian were camped north of them in the valley near the hill of Moreh. Now, this word Harod, in the Hebrew, original Hebrew, so understand this is a spring that they've camped out at, they've arrived at. This word Harod can literally be translated trembling or fear. So, here we have the genius plan by Gideon, who was paralyzed by fear, laying low, hiding out from the Midianite army. God gives him a job. He eventually says yes. He gets the army together and he leads them, of all places, to the spring of fear. And I wonder if some of you might know exactly what that feels like, to have been camped out or be camping out at the spring of fear, to actually be living and drinking from the spring of fear. Like that's your everyday experience. And if you know that's a thing, you also know that's a problem. Now, any scary movie people here? Scary? Not a trick question. You can say yes. Any scary? Yeah, sure. Look. Here's the thing. Scary movie people, I don't understand you, but I respect you. Because the reason I don't understand you is I don't do scary movies. I get enough scary in my day by reading the news in the morning. That's enough scary for me for a day, maybe two. Okay? Can't do scary movies. Cannot do scary movies. And now, if you love scary movies, I'm not dunking on you and your peculiar choices in movies. I'm just saying that I know about me, scary movies don't work for me. It's not that I don't like them. I can't handle them. I'm like, look, I'm sure you could go back in the timeline, maybe in my teenage years, I may have watched one too many, and I don't know. I just know that I have to steer clear of scary movies. I just have to. It's not good for me. And I make that analogy to highlight the fact that actually sometimes we continue to wrestle with fear because we remain camped out at the spring of fear. And one of the best things that you can do if you find yourself camped out at the spring of fear is actually to change your environment, to actually change some things up, change your environment. And I'm using that word environment as a bit of a catch-all because there's a lot of moving parts in what makes up our environment, what influences us. You know, some of it's the people in our lives. Okay, you don't always get to choose them. I understand that, but you do get to choose some of them. It's the podcasts we listen to. Like, I don't do true crime podcasts either. I used to. It just gave me too many ideas. And I thought, this is not going to end well for me. There's some social media accounts that maybe it's time to, some TV shows. I don't do drama, like TV shows, drama. Again, I'm like, I have enough drama in my life. That's real. I don't need manufactured drama. I don't do drama. No drama. Louis does drama. I do the gardening. Drama's on. I'll be in the garden if anyone needs me. But all of these things influence our environment. They actually are the things that actually comprise the spring of fear. Like, these things actually feed and fuel our fear if we stay camped out there. And one of the most powerful things that we can do if we find ourselves camped out at the spring of fear is to change our environment and instead replace them with people and things and podcasts and books and TV shows, etc., that actually create an environment that feeds our faith instead of feeding our fear. So let me run some diagnostics, because maybe like, I don't know, is that me? I don't know, I don't mind drama. Scary movies, I don't mind. Look, that's not the point. The point is, are there some elements in your environment that you've allowed to remain there and need to switch them up? Here's some diagnostics. Questions for your environment. Is it healthy for my head? Like, again, I'm talking many moving parts. People, podcasts, TV shows, social media accounts, etc. Is those things healthy for my head? Do they start to cause me to think thoughts that are more about fear and worry and what might happen and what could happen? Or are they actually ones that feed my faith about a God that can do the impossible? God can make a way where there isn't a way. Okay. Is it healthy for my heart? And look, you know how this works. You know some people that after you've spent time with them, you feel like you need a shower. You're like, ugh, I just need to get them off me. That's just some nasty residue. Ugh. Well, there's a clue. Or instead intentionally create an environment where you've got people who are fueling the good things in your heart. The fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, fruitfulness, joy, self-control. Because there's some people that when you come away from them, you're like, I am a better human for the time I spent with them, for the influence that they have in my life. And then there's this one. Is it healthy for my hands? It's a metaphor, but is this environment creating habits and practices that are life-giving, or creating habits and practices that are actually life destroying. All right. So now they're camped out at the spring of fear. Gideon and his 32,000, remember that number. The Lord said to Gideon, you've got too many. Now remember, it's already 1-4. One Israelite to every 4 Midian soldiers. You've actually got too many warriors with you. If I let all of you fight the Midianites, the Israelites will boast to me that they saved themselves by their own strength. You know that. You know the one we think, okay, God was with me, but I was awesome. No, that's not what God wanted to come out of this. Therefore, tell the people, and what a way to separate and thin the herd on this criteria. Whoever is timid or afraid may leave this mountain and go home. So 22,000 of them went home, leaving only 10,000 who were willing to fight. 120,000 Midianite soldiers. Now the Israelites are down to 10,000, which those of you that are math buffins and know the ratios now move from 1-4. Now it's 1-12. This is not going in the right direction if you're Gideon and his soldiers. This is like we haven't even started the war yet and we feel like we're already on the losing side. Well, okay, God recognized two things. Yes, he recognized that if we have everything we need always, we will likely be less reliant on God and more likely to take the credit for ourselves. That's a problem because God likes to get the glory. He's God. He can say that. The other thing it recognizes is that fear is contagious. And I mentioned that people are one of the key pieces in our environment that can feed our fears. And sometimes we need to change our environment. So let me just segue that a little bit and amplify. Sometimes when we're consumed with fear and feel like we can't get out of it, fear is contagious. Sometimes we need to send some people home. Like, this is not actually working. And by the way, when you speak with people who have come out of addiction, they will tell you this is true. They will tell you this is absolutely true. That it's not about just the stint of going to rehab, although that tends to help people get their head above water. And in that moment, you're temporarily breaking free from the environment, especially the people who are part of enabling you to go down that path of addiction in the first place. But one of the most important things, they will tell you, one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, when you come out of a rehab experience is do not make the mistake of going back to hanging out with the same group of people who were a key part of your self-destructive journey to addiction in the first place. And people that relapse will tell you that oftentimes that was one of the key factors that enabled their relapse. Sometimes you need to send some people home. So on paper, things are not going well for the Israelites. The Lord told Gideon, no, there's still too many. Bring them down to the spring, and I will test them to determine who will go with you and who will not. And when Gideon took his warriors down to the water, the Lord told him, divide the men into two groups, and in one group, put all those who cup the water in their hands and lap it up with their tongues like dogs. And in the other group, put all those who kneel down and drink with their mouths in the stream. Only 300 of the men drank from their hands. All the others got down on their knees and drank with their mouths in the stream. So, spoiler, God sent another 9,700 home. Now, scholars haven't quite kind of wrap their heads around why one posture is the one that God said keep them versus the other. Some people say it's, well, if they scoop the water up and lap it like this, you can tell that they're more attentive and they're more sort of on high alert, which is what you'd want in your soul. We don't know, okay? We don't know. And it's actually not the big point. The big point here is now there's only 300 left out of the original 32,000. Yet the other number, if you can remember it, 120,000, well, that number is exactly the same as it was when Gideon and his army started the journey. And again, I put myself in Gideon's shoes. When this happens, God sends 9,700 home, Gideon and 300. Really? Like, really? You ever had a really moment? Like it happens and you're like, really? A few months ago, I had a busy day planned, bunch of chores, bunch of errands, meeting some people out in the wild, this sort of thing. And so I got on my Vespa. I put the key, turn the ignition, and then you have to push a button to get it started. And I pushed the button, and I heard a sound that I'd never actually heard before in my Vespa. It sounded exactly like this. Click. And I'm like, that does not sound like a motor engaging. Nope. Let's try this again. Click. Now, I had my Vespa serviced for a different issue 1 week prior. And I'm thinking to myself, click. I'm no mechanic. But if I was to be a guessing man, I'd be guessing this is probably a flat battery issue. So I think to myself, why could this click, the click of death, not have happened 1 week ago when I was trying to depart the parking lot of the Vespa Repair Center, to which I would have gone, click, walked back in and said, hey, buddy, something's wrong with my Vespa. I'm there. No, but instead I'm not there. It's a week late, just 1 week later. I'm on my front porch and I hear click and I think to myself, really? Really? So I phone the guy. I'm not phoning him to blame him. That's not my style. I'm just phoning him like I need help. Phoning a friend. And he goes, oh, I remember you. And I'm like, heck yeah, you remember me. I was there a week ago. I didn't say it like that, but my head said it exactly like that. I said, yeah. And he starts talking me through some ways to get around it. Have you got jumper cables? I'm like, what? Jumper cables for a Vespa? Are you nuts? And I'm like, and plus, there was no other vehicle around. What am I going to jump it from? My earlobes? I don't even know. What are you talking? No, I don't have jumper cables. All right. What about do you have like a charger that you clip to your battery and it plugs into the wall? And I'm like, I didn't even know such a thing existed. No, I don't. What are you even talking about here? And anyway, he was sweet. He treated me not like the complete moron that I think I probably deserved to be treated. Like he went through a few more options, and at the end of the day, I just was like, really? And I just walked back inside, and I stayed there all day, thinking to myself, really? But have you ever had a really moment with God? You know, like you're wanting to get your finances sorted, really make some progress financially, and then your hours get cut at work. And you're like, really? God? Really? You know, struggling with some relational challenges and the actual support network that you've intentionally cultivated to be part of your environment just happens to be all overseas. Really? God? Really? So, here's Gideon. I'm putting the word really in there, but come on now. And the Lord told Gideon, with these 300 men I will rescue you and give you, say it with me, victory over the Midianites. See, God in this moment reminded him that he wasn't alone, that he didn't need to fight this battle by himself, that ultimately he wasn't the one leading this. He wasn't the one that had to be in control. He wasn't the one that needed to know how this is going to happen, that he had a God who had already figured out how he was going to make a way where there seemed to be no actual way. He was reminding Gideon that 300 soldiers with God are more powerful than 120,000 soldiers without God. So actually the math was stacked against the Midianites. The ratio was 1 to something, but the one had God in charge of their things. And this is a reminder, sometimes God will actually allow us to get to a place in our life. He will actually allow us to experience some challenges that we can't fix on our own. I mean, some things we can fix on our own. I get that. And it's not a problem. It's not like you don't have faith if you fix some things on your own. But sometimes God will put us in a position where he wants to test us, but not just test us. He wants to ultimately reveal something to us of his power, his provision, his promise. He promised them the victory before they even left the spring. The dirty dogs that lapped from their hands, they were still at the spring in this moment, and yet God says, you already have the victory. He still hadn't told them the game plan. He's just sent some people home. He's sent some more people home. Now he's promised the victory. Now he gives them the game plan. If you think things didn't make sense up to this point for Gideon, he's walking around like, really? Really? Here's the game plan. Gideon returned to the Israelite camp and shouted, get up, because it's early in the morning now, his 300, plenty of empty tents at this point in life, for the Lord has given you victory over the Midianite hordes. And they'd be like, wait, what? He divided the 300 men into 3 groups and gave each soldier, a ram's horn and a clay jar with a torch in it, like the tiki torches that people have when they want to make their backyard look like a fake Bali environment. Thanks, Bunnings. And you ain't fooling anybody. Then he said to them, keep your eyes on me. When I come to the edge of the camp, do just as I do. And as soon as I and those with me blow their ram's horns, blow your horns too, and all around the entire camp, and shout for the Lord and for Gideon. They were given some pretty weird weapons for soldiers. Like you line up at the armory and they hand out your weapons for the day. Here's a trumpet, and you're going to need that. And here's a tiki torch from Bunnings. And really? I'm not making this stuff up, people. It's like, this is why this is the best book in the world. Each man stood at his position at the camp. Don't read ahead. I just want to double click on the fact and understand this. When you're gripped by fear and you can't see a way forward, sometimes the only thing on your best day that you can muster, that you can rally, is just to stand. But you know what? With God making a way in your life, sometimes it's not that standing is the only thing you can do. It's actually, here's the great news, it's the only thing you need to do. Because you're not fighting the battle by yourself in your own strength with what seem to be some pretty dumb weapons. And then they watched as the Midianites rushed around in a panic, shouting as they ran to escape. When the 300 Israelites blew their ram's horns, the Lord caused the warriors in the camp to fight against each other with actual weapons, swords. And those who were not killed fled to places far away. Here's the thing. Let me drop the mic with this. These would have seemed like daft weapons to the Israelites, and had the 120,000 Midianites maybe seen that all these 300 buffheads had was like a trumpet and a tiki torch from Bunnings, they'd be like, what? But here's the thing. As Jesus followers, we have access to weapons that are unique, that God places in our hands, that are ultimately more powerful than any of the weapons that the world could give us. We have worship. That's what the ram's horn represents. Me, when I'm having a blue day and I'm thinking to myself, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm not feeling people-y. I'm not feeling life-y. I'm not feeling anything-y. I put on worship music. And I allow God to change the atmosphere that I'm physically standing in. It's a weapon that we have access to, and it's more powerful than any other weapon. Through this whole exchange, Gideon had been talking back and forth to God. We have access to prayer, a communication tool to talk to God and listen to him. And sometimes he's going to say things to us that don't make sense, but it's only by listening to him that we're going to get the instructions that come from him that are going to actually achieve a result that is far better, Can you imagine winning this battle? And then now you're telling your grandkids, hey, grandies, yeah, I was in that battle you probably read about with Gideon. Oh, yeah, how'd that go down? Well, you're never going to believe this. And you get to tell the story, and they think there's only one explanation for this. It's God. It has to be. This makes no sense. And then the light. Hello, the tiki torch. God's word is described as a light. And in fact, King David describes it. I just love this picture. That God's word is a light to my path and a lamp to my feet. And I'll just unpack that very simply because this has been so helpful for me. The light is sort of like the broadcast where we get a little bit of a glimpse of what maybe 30 paces down the road looks like. General idea of where we're meant to be walking. The lamp is the focus thing. You know the lamp? I'm about to put some insulation in. Mark Ricketts, listen carefully. If you've got a lamp specifically that attaches to your head, you use that to focus on the next step. And God says his word is both of those things. His word can give us a sense of the general direction that we're meant to move in and give us a clue of what the next step is. So here's the thing. I'm going to invite you, if you aren't or don't already, and this isn't the only way to do it, I'm just putting this out there as one of the most lowest hanging fruit tools that we have access to in 2024. So this app is the Bible app, which you can download for free and use that anywhere, anytime, as long as your smartphone is with you. And some of you, your smartphone is surgically attached to you, so you know you've got the Bible surgically attached to you at all times. And you can scan this QR code because the Bible app's got this feature called My Church. So what we're going to be doing through this series, and this series is all about building faith. Starting today, God can make a way. We're going to put up a featured Bible plan. It's like a 5-minute kind of tasty morsel of God's word with some kind of ideas around that. And we're going to put up one every Monday. So there'll be one going live tomorrow. They generally run about 3 to 5 days, so you can just pick them off as you go through the week. So tomorrow's will be about faith. It'll be, okay, great. And this is this idea. We have access to a weapon, the light, that is unique to Jesus followers. And we would have to be the village idiot. Not saying you are, if we don't access this.
We really hope you got a lot out of this message. If you live in the Perth area, we'd love for you to join one of our live experiences. For times and directions, as well as information, head to our website, elevatechurch.me. For those of you beyond the Perth area, we'd love for you to connect with our online experience, which premieres every Sunday via YouTube and Facebook Live, and on demand immediately after. And to partner with us to reach more people by giving financially, head to our website, elevatechurch.me, and also download our Elevate Church AU app.